The Bucs and the Cowboys.
That's the epitome.
Cowboys favored on the road at 2.5, basically 5-point favorites. Buccaneers coming into this game. I mean, it's
8-9.
8-9, up and down all season. We have Tom Brady, and then Cowboys looking better with Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott losing his mind throughout the second half of the season, leading the league in picks when he missed 5 games. So it's like Dak Prescott. It's not like what we call Andrew Luck interceptions, where Andrew Luck is like, I'm about to get slaughtered on this play. We're going to have to punt the ball anyways. They'll say Pat McAfee a trip on the field and just hurdle this ball downfield because it's basically going to be a punt. Then it gets intercepted. Cool. It's in the red zone in my half of the field. And if there's a team that's going to show up and show out, this could be our last run with Tom Brady. Mike Evans is a player who has had 9 straight years of 1,000-yard receiving. That's historically great for any NFL player. Looked over, we still have weapons with Chris Godwin on this team. We still have Leonard Fournette, who could remember how to play football, but they have that nice running back White who can come out of the backfield. But then we have Todd Bowles on defense. I feel like there's not too much to stop with Dallas. It's not that complicated to stop CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard. This is a front-running team that has to blow you out and able to win. So I feel like Tom Brady locked in the playoffs, focusing on not turning the ball over. The Cowboys are kind of his bread and butter, where they play on taking risks on defense, and that's where he's been able to expose them. And then you still have Devin White. We still have Jamal Dean on this team. We still have some really good players, Antoine Winfield Jr., who can get after it, Vita Vea in the middle of the field. So it's like, in Tampa on Monday night in prime time, I'm just saying whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And I don't have any faith in the Dallas Cowboys to even remotely want to pick them. So for me, it's just like Tom Brady versus Dallas. It's kind of, I don't know.
This is a legacy pick here because sometimes history repeats itself. You know, we were talking about all the anomalies of this year, but some things are constant, right? Mike Tomlin winning season.
Right.
You know, and, you know, Tom Brady
winning
playoff games, and the Cowboys losing playoff games. Cowboys, the last 25 years have done what? They are, what's the record? Like 2-14 in the playoffs in the last 25 years. It's bad. They have a bad playoff record. You have Tom Brady, who has the most playoff wins in NFL history, who has the most playoff experience of anybody. Not only that, the Bucs team has more history because the Cowboys, yes, they've been to multiple playoff appearances, but last year, Dak Prescott plays like shit for the first 3 quarters and then tries to come back in the 4th quarter against the 49ers. Zeke's a year older. I think for really the key to the Bucs game is if they can stop the run. If they can stop the run and they have Dak hold the ball, they're going to get the ball back because Dak Prescott, he's averaged 1.8 interceptions a game this whole season.
Yeah.
So if he had played a full 17 games, he would have been looking at over 30 interceptions. Not very good.
30?
Yeah.
It's Jameis Winston bad.
Yeah, he had a lot of interceptions this year. He had an interception on 5% of his passes. Not the best. Yeah, no, this was a game that, like, I feel like, you know, the media, they're going to probably pick the Cowboys. But for people who really think about it, it's like Cowboys, perennial chokers. Brady, perennial playoff contender, perennial, you know, defies the odds, perennial, you know, wins playoff games. I understand the Bucs have looked like shit this year. I understand Leonard Fournette can't run the football anymore. They have the worst running team, you know, all that. But the fact that the Bucs are even in the playoffs, partly because of their division being bad, but also because for some reason it just happened. They just win games. Like the Cardinals game. They had no business winning that game. They won that game. I think this game is scary for the Cowboys. Pressure is on the Cowboys. If the Cowboys lose it, it's like, what are we doing here? Is Dak Prescott the answer? This has got to be the Bucs. I mean, like, it makes way more sense for me to pick the Bucs than the Cowboys. Yeah. Why should I pick the Cowboys?
You should pick the Cowboys because they've played more consistently throughout the year. They have some semblance of a run game, and then their defense has shown in spots it can be more dynamic. But on the same breath, Micah Parsons has not been himself the past few weeks. Dak Prescott has not been himself. If we're going tit for tat, all right, let's look at receivers. Dallas, I think we can agree the only elite wide receiver they have on their team is CeeDee Lamb. Well, compare him with Mike Evans and the chemistry that Tom Brady has with Mike Evans. He was roasting Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey was thanking the Lord that Tom Brady unretired, because he's like, thank God that the last touchdown Tom Brady ever threw was not on me, and I revere myself as one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So thank you, Tom Brady. I appreciate you unretiring, so your last throw was not on me. But that game, him and Mike Evans just locked in, went berserk. When they had to win this year versus Carolina, him and Mike Evans locked in, went berserk. I think you see that in this game. I think him and Mike Evans are going to be enough to be able to get it done. And the Cowboys are front runners, but with Tom Brady, not going to give you an opportunity to blow them out. I don't think with Todd Bowles, this is going to be a team where you can march the ball up and down the field. And then Dak Prescott, I don't think he's going to suddenly stop turning the ball over. And I think Tom Brady, there's a lot more chance where he has a 0 turnover game than Dak Prescott. Tom Brady has owned the Cowboys the past few years. I don't think that's changing. It's just a bad matchup with Mike Evans. I think he can torch Trayvon Diggs, and then Chris Godwin, I think he's going to show up in this game, and then Tom Brady's going to be able to get it going. So it's just like a front-running, underperforming playoff team versus the biggest overperformer and maybe luckiest person in playoff history. Of course, when you have all these Super Bowl runs, there's going to be a lot of moments you can point to. But first year with Tampa Bay, go up against Taylor Heineke. What a break for you. And then you go up against the Saints, have absolutely dominated and destroy you. Out of nowhere, Drew Brees has four turnovers in a game. And they set a record for consecutive drives with the turnover in the playoffs. Drew Brees completely crumbled in that game. And then in the conference championship, you go ahead, win that game in Green Bay, where Green Bay decides not to go for it, kick the field goal, stop you on 3 and out, still can't get it. So that was a close game. And then you luck out with everyone on the Chiefs offensive line getting hurt. So to say that Tom Brady doesn't have some luck on his side is an understatement.
No, he probably sold the soul to his devil, to be honest.
And he sold the soul in the form of Dak Prescott the past few weeks, forgetting how to play football.
Especially the way he played in Week 18. I can't trust Dak Prescott moving forward. I think if we're talking about, we asked the question again, like what the impact would be on with a win or a loss. For the Cowboys, if they lose, they really got to look themselves in the face and think, is Dak Prescott the guy? Because we've had really good teams the last few years, and it's resulted in first-round exits. So I think if they lose this game, the Cowboys are really going to have to take a look in the mirror. Zeke, they're probably going to cut this year. They have CeeDee Lamb. They got some players on defense, but, what's the move at quarterback? And then for the Bucs, it's like they win this game. It's like I'm a Patriot. Tom Brady, he was very good to me for 20 years. I being a Patriots fan, I have all the love for Tom Brady.
Service you well.
But if there's ever a year for me to be a Brady hater, it's this year, because it's like bad season all around, 8-9, losing season, one of the worst seasons for Brady, team-wise, not so much statistically, of his career. No run game, anything like that. Somehow you make the playoffs because you have the worst division in football. Then you somehow face the Cowboys, who are perpetual playoff chokers. And then, the Bucs are the 4 seed. So then they would face, potentially who would they face? Potentially the Giants or the
No, the Bucs are the 4 seed, so they would probably, unless the Giants win, assuming the Vikings win, the Bucs would face the Eagles, struggling out of a bye, who have limped into the playoffs, who could come out flat. Great matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So then you go ahead and beat the Eagles. Then you have some momentum going. Still think you would get wrecked by the 49ers, but still.
Yeah,
a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't win the Super Bowl.
No.
Not at all. It's insane. Brady will have, 35 playoff games?
Yeah.
Wins? So this just seems like the inevitable.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's a Monday night game too, but it's like the Cowboys proved I feel like a reason to pick the Bucs in this game is what the Cowboys proved. No matter how bad the Packers are, Aaron Rodgers still finds a way to beat them. I mean, we were watching that game versus the Cowboys. Had it on my phone sitting next to a Cowboys fan, and then it's like, oh my god, I hate Aaron Rodgers. It's like no matter how bad the Packers were, the Packers still found a way to beat the Cowboys in the regular season. I think that's a trend that continues versus the Bucs. Tom Brady's a guy who owns them. Dak Prescott has not elevated his game in the playoffs. Just sucks for 3 quarters and then plays out of his mind in the fourth quarter. And it's like, see, I was worth all that money. But if the Cowboys lose that game, you have to think about your hiring of Mike McCarthy. I know Jerry Jones gives guys the benefit of the doubt, but if I was Jerry Jones, I would have fired Mike McCarthy in his introductory press conference. You know why? His introductory press conference, Mike McCarthy admits he lied in his interview to get the job. He's like, yeah, I said I watched all the Cowboys games this year. Didn't. I was like, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm like, you're fired. If you admitted to lying in your first press conference, what other secrets do you hold, big man? So it's just like, Mike McCarthy, you lose this game, you're gone. Kellen Moore, why does everyone think Kellen Moore's a genius for somehow not running the ball whenever they have a run game going? It's like Kellen Moore is the guy who's going to go away from the run game and passes too much, puts the ball in Dak Prescott's hands. You want to talk about Mac Jones getting trigger happy when they open up the playbook, but Dak Prescott, not to compare him to Mac Jones, but similarly, it's like he's not someone you can trust to just open up the playbook and think he's going to make the right decision because he's forced the issue, turn the ball over. We kind of know what he is at this point. Contract's a bad contract for the Cowboys, kind of a whiff for them. So it's like you lose this game, you're questioning the Dak Prescott contract, Mike McCarthy, go back to Wisconsin, make some more cheese, go make some donuts somewhere else. Not on my team. Kellen Moore, you're not a genius. Dan Quinn, tough loss for him, but Dan Quinn was also behind that 28-3 loss to Tom Brady. So he has some PTSD with Tom Brady there. So a lot of factors in this game, but you have to consider all of the above.
Yeah, no doubt. But that concludes our Super Wildcard Weekend preview.
Yeah.
We previewed all the games. Interested to see how all these play out. What legacies will be defined in this game. Check back in on the Supercard Wildcard Weekend recap as we preview the divisional round.